You're listening to Audiology. Support our work on Patreon and be sure to submit your requests for topics in the comments below. The battles known as the Hill Fights, or the First Battle of Khe Sanh, occurred during the Vietnam War. These fights were between the 325 C Division of the People's Army of Vietnam, also known as the PAM, and the United States Marines. They took place on several hills north of the Khe Sanh combat base, located in northwest Quang Tri Province, Vietnam. On April 20th, the responsibility for the Khe Sanh area was officially handed over to the 3rd Marine Regiment. A couple of days later, on April 22nd, 1967, there was an operation named Beacon Star. This operation involved the 2nd Battalion, 3rd Marines, and they were supported by HMM 164. The operation took place in the southern zone of the Street Without Joy, which is an area that stretches across Quang Tri and Thu Thien Province. Their adversaries during this operation were members of the Viet Cong, specifically the 6th Regiment and the 810th and 812th Battalions. On April 24th, a unit from the 3rd Battalion, 3rd Marines, was tasked with setting up a mortar position on Hill 700 to aid another company. Subsequently, 5 Marines were dispatched to Hill 861 to set up an observation point. Upon nearing the summit through a bamboo grove, they were ambushed by the PAVN, resulting in the loss of 4 Marines. Following this, a rescue squad was sent, managing to save the only survivor from the ambush, but faced difficulties in retrieving the fallen due to enemy fire, which forced them back. Efforts to recover the bodies saw partial success, though an evacuation helicopter was met with heavy fire upon approach, necessitating support from helicopter gunships. The situation escalated as 1st and 3rd platoons encountered mortar fire while trying to encircle the enemy, which led to calling in medevac helicopters that attracted enemy fire each time they approached. The day ended with the units taking cover for the night, incurring a total of 12 Marines dead, 2 missing, later found deceased, and 17 wounded. The following day, Company B's advance on Hill 861 was hindered by fog, difficult terrain, and enemy fire. In the afternoon, Company K, which was due to replace Company B at Khe Sanh, arrived and moved to assist on Hill 861. Engagements continued into the night, with additional reinforcement from Company K, 9th Marines later on. By the morning of April 26th, both the 3rd Battalion command post and Khe Sanh base were targeted by enemy fire. Despite continued efforts, the Marines made little headway, withdrawing under the cover of helicopter gunships. Amidst heavy engagement, Company B managed to break contact by noon and set up a defensive perimeter. Though hindered by enemy mortar fire when medevac helicopters attempted to land, artillery fire was called to force the PAD to retreat, allowing Company B to move back to the battalion command post. A reinforcement directive was issued to SLF Bravo, bolstering the Marine forces at Khe Sanh by the afternoon. On April 27th, after returning to Khe Sanh for reinforcements, Marine artillery and air support aggressively targeted Hill 861 with bombs and artillery rounds, aiming to expose and destroy enemy bunkers hidden by dense foliage. This heavy bombardment continued over the next 2 days. The strategic plan involved securing Hill 861 by 2nd 3rd Marines, followed by 3rd 3rd Marines moving to take control of the area between Hill 861 and Hill 881 South, with 2nd 3rd Marines then covering the flank and aiming to capture Hill 881 North. On the afternoon of April 28th, 2nd 3rd Marines advanced up Hill 861 facing minimal resistance as the PAVN had retreated. The Marines discovered 25 bunkers and numerous fighting positions, along with the pervasive smell of decay on the hilltop. On April 29th, the 2nd Battalion, 3rd Marines successfully took control of Hill 861, setting the stage for the 3rd Battalion, 3rd Marines to move from their base at Khe Sanh toward a nearby hill 750 meters northeast of Hill 881 South. This maneuver was a strategic setup for the upcoming assault on Hill 881 South. In the process, Company M of the 9th Marines ran into a platoon of North Vietnamese soldiers, engaging them in combat, while Company M of the 3rd Marines secured a crucial intermediate position, preparing a defensive setup. The following day, on April 30th, as the 2nd Battalion, 3rd Marines moved to join forces with the 3rd Battalion, 3rd Marines, they unexpectedly stumbled upon a well-entrenched bunker system manned by the North Vietnamese Army, resulting in 9 Marines being killed and 43 wounded. The Marines withdrew temporarily, calling in artillery and airstrike to destroy the enemy bunkers, which they subsequently overran. The combined forces of Company M, 3rd Marines, and Company K, 9th Marines then launched an assault on Hill 881 South. Initially facing little resistance, the situation escalated around 10:25 when they came under heavy mortar and bunker fire from the North Vietnamese. Despite being pinned down for several hours, they managed to break contact, thanks to the support from gunships and aircraft. The skirmish resulted in 43 Marines killed and 109 wounded, while North Vietnamese losses amounted to 163 killed. The intense battle left Company M, 3rd Marines, unable to continue in combat, prompting their replacement with Company F, 2nd Battalion, 3rd Marines, and the deployment of Company E, 9th Marines to Khe Sanh on May 1st afternoon. To dislodge the North Vietnamese from Hill 881 South, the Marines executed a withdrawal, enabling a massive air assault on May 1st, delivering over 650,000 pounds of bombs on Hills 881 North and South. This massive airstrike killed more than 140 North Vietnamese soldiers. On May 2nd, Companies K and M of the 9th Marines mounted a fresh assault on Hill 881 South, facing minimal resistance this time and capturing it by 14:20. They discovered an extensive network of over 250 bunkers, each fortified with multiple layers of logs and then covered with 4 to 5 feet of earth. The bombing had taken its toll, leaving only 50 bunkers intact. On May 2nd at 10:15 in the morning, Marine Companies E and G from the 2nd Battalion, 3rd Marines made their move on Hill 881 North from the south and east directions. Company G stumbled upon an enemy position held by the North Vietnamese Army and had to retreat to call in artillery support. Meanwhile, Company E was close to the hill's summit when a severe rainstorm hit, causing the entire battalion to pull back and set up defensive positions for the night. In the early hours of May 3rd at about 4:15 in the morning, the North Vietnamese forces launched an assault on Company E's nighttime defensive spot. They managed to penetrate the eastern side and took over some bunkers. A group of Marines tried to push them out but were met with heavy machine gun fire. In response, an impromptu squad of engineers was sent to help, while air and artillery strikes targeted the North Vietnamese army. With the aid of a flare ship lighting the sky, Marines stationed on Hill 881 South spotted around 200 North Vietnamese Army soldiers preparing to attack Company E from the west. They fired over 100 recoilless rifle rounds to disrupt this new assault. By dawn, reinforcements arrived to back up Company E, and Company H attacked the North Vietnamese Army from behind. The battle ended around 3 in the afternoon, resulting in 27 Marines killed and 84 wounded, while the enemy suffered 137 killed and 3 captured. Interrogations of the prisoners hinted at another planned attack against the Marines that night, which fortunately did not happen. On May 5th at 8:50 in the morning, Marines from Companies E and F resumed their offensive on Hill 881 North. As they got closer to the summit, they faced stronger resistance from the North Vietnamese Army, prompting them to hold back for air and artillery strikes once more. The attack continued at 1 in the afternoon, and by 2:45 in the afternoon, they successfully captured the hilltop. This series of engagements showcases the intense fighting and strategic maneuvers involved in securing Hill 881 North, highlighting the harsh conditions faced by the Marines and the significant losses on both sides. After taking control of Hill 881 North, the Marines carried out a thorough search of the surrounding areas of Hills 881 North and 881 South. They also directed air and artillery strikes against what they thought were positions of the People's Army of Vietnam, but it seemed that the People's Army of Vietnam forces had already moved away, heading either north across the Vietnamese demilitarized zone or west into Laos. On May 9th, Company F from the 2nd Battalion of the 3rd Marines ran into a People's Army of Vietnam unit about 2 miles northwest of Hill 881 North. They quickly called in artillery support, and Company E was sent to help. This clash resulted in the deaths of 24 Marines and wounded another 19. The United States forces claimed that they had killed 31 People's Army of Vietnam soldiers during this encounter, and also found what were believed to be 203 recent graves in the vicinity. On the night of May 9th into May 10th, a People's Army of Vietnam attack targeted the reconnaissance team Breaker from the 3rd Reconnaissance Battalion. The People's Army of Vietnam forces, which could have overwhelmed the Marines easily, focused instead on attacking the Marine helicopters that were coming to evacuate team. This attack did considerable damage to several helicopters and resulted in the deaths of 4 members of the reconnaissance team and 1 helicopter pilot. The Marines claimed to have killed 7 People's Army of Vietnam soldiers during this nighttime assault. The conflict known as the Hill Fights came to an end on May 10th. The toll on the Marines was significant, with 155 soldiers losing their lives and another 425 injured. On the other side, the Marines reported that they had eliminated 940 enemy troops, identified as the People's Army of Vietnam. After the dust settled, intelligence revealed that the People's Army of Vietnam had a complex plan. They aimed to stockpile supplies and fortify positions north of the Khe Sanh base, cut off the base by attacking Marine positions in the northern I Corps area, and distract with an assault on the Lang Vei Special Forces camp on May 4th. The ultimate goal was to have several regiments from the 325 C Division storm Khe Sanh base. However, an unexpected clash on April 24 threw a wrench into their plans. The broader goals of the People's Army of Vietnam, both in this battle and the subsequent Battle of Khe Sanh, remain a topic of debate. In a 1990 interview, Truong Van Tra, who led the People's Army of Vietnam's B-2 front in the III Corps, suggested that these border skirmishes, especially at Khe Sanh, were designed to lure United States forces away from the populous centers, setting the stage for the Tet Offensive. After the battle wrapped up, the Marines didn't sit back. They launched Operation Crockett in the same region to continue their effort. Thanks for watching. Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more content.